Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or whenever you happen to be watching this. This is Steven, your host of Brewing Bay Talks. I'm here with Thomas from Sugarworks Distillery, all the way here in New Smyrna Beach. And so, Thomas is going to let us know about his great distillery here, and I'm going to hand over everything over to you.
That was great. Hi, my name's Tom, and I started the distillery, I guess, 5 years ago, at a growing up 5 years ago. We're in a new location now. Just moved here, I guess we moved the first 5 weeks ago, and still trying to get things organized and straight, but excited to be in a new location. It's bigger. It's has a fully operational bar, which is really nice, and in a much better location here at Smyrna Beach. We have our previous location started back in, I guess we started the distillery in 2017 with a few spirits and grown over time to have 25 or more SKUs.
And so, how did you kind of get into wanting to start a distillery? What was the idea that kind of came up about that, our story?
A lot of great times in life. My background is architecture, so was in architecture for nearly 20 years. 10 of that as just a practice of that balance and architecture professor. Started a program at UCF. So the progression of starting a distillery, it's lots of hard right turns. We started my background in architect, 20 years as an architect, 10 of that's college professor, teaching architecture, and most recent post was at UCF. I was there for, I guess, 3 years, and started the architecture program there. And as part of that, we did a lot of research. And in that process, we started a tech company, started a tech company, grew that company over the period of 7 years, and got to the point that it was fairly large, trying to get off 41 people, and it's not really fun, and I didn't think I was the guy who take it as far as he could take it, so I retired, and then I said, about 2 weeks, decided, you know what, I'm going to do something else, and I'm going to do something I've already done. And I had an interest in the distillery and then in distillers, and I was intrigued by it. But I didn't know it was fairly campus, and just decided that something will try. So I took a class at a distillery here in Florida, and that was interesting. And so I poured back with them, and then decided I'm going to jump into this whole thing. And certainly did. He had no experience prior to doing this, but it seems to have won. And we probably went later, here we are. So,
that seems to be kind of where distillers become all sorts of walks of it. It's always been kind of interesting. Learning people's stories and how they came to it. So, I noticed last time I met you was back in October at the Sunshine Spirit Festival. And have you guys kind of seen some kind of growth with that a little bit more exposure from that?
So, I think there was a little bit of exposure from that. I think there is. That was really early on for Press Service Association. So we, over the past year, developed more, and we actually have our second annual meeting here at our facilities in Utah. And that would be a kickoff for the search. So there's going to be 39 distilleries on the trail, and active stamps and incentives to go with all different distilleries. It's obviously going to be and so I think that's really going to swirl on there and a lot of momentum for the distillery processing. And it's a great opportunity for folks to see what we're doing.
We're definitely excited And so there have been like some challenges with starting up the distillery, especially it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot in this area yet. So what were some of the challenges that kind of so in our channel, there are some recent infrastructures on where to do so. So any next use there is really is minor site area, which is very busy for investing. And then you have downtown street area, which is the area right now. And then there are a couple of other shopping centers where you can be or investing. We started in a shopping center. We were there for the first 4 years and spent the last 2 years trying to find a permanent home. This location, a standalone building, has decent parking and really was a good fit for what we were looking for. It's relatively close to the house. We can walk the distance and restaurant and bars. And we're across the street from a wine bar, a block from another wine bar, we're a block and a half from 2 bars. So it's, I think, long-term a really good location. And it's big enough that we can have a fully operational bar as well as the distillery. So, long-term, I think we're going to need additional storage. We'll need a rip house at some point. My best guess is within 2 years. But we've got a little bit of wiggle room here initially. And then would you also, like, how much do you guys produce? I mean, I know you had to, so far had to stop because of the new building construction and stuff like that, but typically, like, how much are you guys kind of like producing on average? So, in our previous location, and I have yet to do a fermentation here, I may well do my first one today or tomorrow. So getting that up and going again. But at our previous location, high end 4,000 bottles a month, low end 2,000 bottles a month. And we, as far as equipment, have the capacity to do about 10,000. That's going to require me to hire a couple of people to help me because I can't do that much by myself. And really, I had not intended when I started this for it to grow to the point that I needed employees, but we're there. And it's, we've already hired bartenders and getting additional staff to the back is next. It's been quite the effort and it's grown, I think, quickly and we expected, but that's a good thing. And I mean, so like you were kind of talking about the fermentation process, and as long as we're not unveiling any proprietary information on it, you want to kind of go about like what your guys' fermentation process or this like, you know, sure. Especially if you want to talk about like the whiskey, like with your national. Okay, so first I'll say we do a variety of products. We do rum, we do moonshine, we do whiskeys and bourbons, we do tequila. So there's a pretty broad mix of things that we do. The whiskeys that we are creating start with moonshine. That's just corn liquor that's made 100% corn, and it's just a really nice traditional corn liquor. The other products, the whiskeys and the bourbons, we use a variety of ingredients. So our Calories Creek, our standard bourbon is a 20% rye, and that is a yellow corn, a local rye, and then a 10% rye. The heritage grains that we use begin to get a little more interesting. So we use for our 70% rye and our 90% corn, we use Cherokee White as the primary corn. That recently profiled on moonshiners that were talking about it. To my knowledge, I'm the only distiller that's using it in mass production. I'll go through about 700 bushels of that this year. So we're not a mass producer by any stretch, but that's a decent amount of corn. And that one really, really has a great flavor profile. It's really interesting corn. It's historically significant. And it's an ancient. Has been out of production for a long time. Then from a 20% wheat, I use a Argentine Creole orange.
And that's again, 70% corn, 20% wheat, and 10% whole bourbon. Mashing is pretty typical. We do everything right on. So I don't water. I have to keep it on the grain. The entire process yields a better product. And that's always been really done. As far as equipment, I've got what, 4 7-barrel fermenters, so that'd be 211 gallons. Every unit you like. And then I've got a pot still, continuous still, and also I have fully followed on. So that certainly aids in our production. But I think the two pieces, equipment-wise, that are unusual for a distillery of our size would be the continuous still, which I use as a stripping still currently, and then the bottling line. Most small distilleries are going to hand bottles, and you can do 4 to 600 bottles a day on one of those. Our bottling line, they're 50 an hour, so it's pretty significant the amount of bottles we push through.
I mean, and then you were talking also a little bit about the tequila. So how's that process? Because I mean, their rules are pretty strict. Not like okay, for it to be called tequila, we have to be in the tequila region of Mexico. So, and I have had it, and I thought it was awesome. And I'm not a tequila fan, so
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So it is an agave syrup as far as how it's labeled, and because it is not labeled Jalisco. The agave that we use comes from Jalisco. It is an organic agave syrup. We get 275 gallon totes, and super expensive ingredient, which ultimately results in a fairly expensive product. But it's not just the price of the ingredient. It takes 3 times as long to ferment. You yield about 20% less on your fermentation, and you have a super expensive ingredient to start with. So as a result, the bottles can be very expensive. But that's the case with any tequila.
Yeah.
I mean, once you get past the expense, the partial tequila, partial GNS, which is what most of the lower priced tequilas are, and get into 100% rubber blue agave, you're talking $70 bottle. It's just an expensive process.
Now, when you do the still runs, are you doing that through the pot still, or are you doing that through the continuous?
So for the agave, I am doing that entirely in the pot still. The rum goes through the continuous and then the pot still. And currently, I'm just doing pot still for the whiskey.
Yeah.
Now, will I change that? Maybe. I'm going to do some modifications to my continuous here over the course of the next year. In our previous location, I only had room for 1 column. It's a traditional coffee still, so it's a 2-column configuration. And I only had room for the 1 column, so that's why I'm stripping. So in our new location, I have room to add the second column, and I likely will. That will allow me to do finished product. And make some changes so I can go ahead and run grain blue as well.
I like how you guys are using those heritage grains like you're talking about. And then now, would you say that through the pot still, because that is kind of like what a lot of people say is that using a pot still sometimes gives it a little bit better flavor, especially like on a whiskey side. Would you say that kind of adds also with the tequila? Like, is that why you're kind of using?
So, you have different camps when it comes to pot stills and composites. And I guess I'm in the camp that would say that you can create an equally good product on either still, but you run them differently to get to that destination. And a column still is a flavor stripper. Pot still is a flavor condenser. And if you understand that fundamental principle, and that influences how you run that piece of equipment, then you can yield very, very similar products. Are you going to be able to do exactly the same thing? Maybe not. Are you going to be able to get something that's very, very close? I think so. And we certainly have. So, I will say that continuous stills are, as I mentioned earlier, fairly uncommon for small distilleries. I think you're going to see more of them. They make a lot of sense. By adding continuous, we basically quadruple our output by adding machine. And that's significant in your small business. It is a home built unit. I mean, I ordered the parts online and a lot of stuff fabricated and assembled myself. So, you know, you have to figure out how that stuff works. But more and more suppliers are taking interest in this kind of technology, which is ironic because we look at this like it's new tech, but the reality is probably 0 to 200 years old. It was back in 1830, and it was used around the world ever since. They notice that I have a very efficient thing. But again, it's still fairly uncommon in small stores.
Yeah, I mean, like, I know even the state of Florida, a couple that use it, and then big stores are bringing in one. And, like, when Amber Bay has one, and I mean, like, when people like we're talking about that, we started acting pizza with coffee over in Scotland, and, you know, now it's become such a huge part of the industry. But there's also, like, that combination of what you guys do, the hot stills do, so that seems to be, like you're talking about, different flavors or similar flavors. And I mean, it's funny how you can make a product that's a similar grain, but based on the decisions and the process, it can be a different flavor. And so, kind of going on, are there any like future products that you kind of think that you want to experiment with it, or because you guys already are doing a lot, like drums, doing a lot of drums. Yeah. So I think I've got both SKUs in the Sugarworks brand and across 6 other companies that are in color. So we're at 30 SKUs at the moment. With Sugarworks, my plan is to do a gin. Those are kind of interesting, actually. The private label work that we do is a range of folks. You know, some are people that have always desired having a spirit brand and don't want to go through the expense and learning curve of getting a distillery. And some are established businesses that are looking to expand their brand. So we have a restaurant that we do a fairly large volume for, and for them it's a brand extension. They were buying lots of booze from other companies and decided that they wanted to have their own label and help them build and expand their brand in that way. And we do a very large amount with that restaurant. It's surprisingly large amount. And as that restaurant expands, that brand expands also. Others, you know, I have a couple of folks that retired from various locations and decided that they just want to have a spirit. I think in most cases those are wrongs, and then they build that up and we continue to make it. So, you know, we'll continue to do private label work, but as Sugarworks grows, at some point I've got to figure out which one we're going to stay with, because there is only next. Well, I mean, it's definitely like what a lot of distilleries, especially when they're starting out, seem to kind of do is they'll do a white label brand or contract with, like what you said, with people who want to start their own kind of brand but not do the back of the house distilling work. So, I mean, to me, it's like very interesting. I mean, big companies that, you know, like Barstow, they do that. You know, now they're just starting to kind of get their name more out there as their own brand.
Yes. I will say that, yeah, and circle back to the original question, are there other new things that I'm doing? Yes. I've got 3 moonshines, I've got 3 on the I had a hyper local gin that we're doing. So all the botanicals native to Smyrna Beach, all grown and harvested in Smyrna Beach. So that one will be kind of special. Then we also are, I guess I could talk about it. We picked up one of the TV moonshiners that we make another product.
Oh, really?
So,
Nice.
yes.
Oh, yeah, they're growing big time. And I mean, kind of going back a little bit to where you're talking about with the hyper local gin here from New Summer. Like, you try to do that with a lot of your products, try to get grains or botanicals or sugar cane, I guess, like from the state of Florida if you can.
If we can, yes. Priority one is the best possible ingredients. Priority two is local. And those don't always sync up. But when they do, that is something we try to embrace. We've got a lot of really nice things coming, and I think that the extra care and selection of ingredients and materials comes through a product. And our products, as you're aware, it's no artificial stuff in it. It's all natural, no artificial flavors, no coloring added, no sugar added. The only thing that we sweetener in is our cinnamon whiskey, and that is a raw honey. So, which, by the way, is harvested here in Smyrna Beach. So we try to do that with all of our products.
And I mean, I always think that's great because you're supporting local farmers, you're supporting businesses here, and I mean, making Florida its own little unique experience because, you know, Florida does have its own category, just like you could say with Texas and Kentucky, Florida has its own distinct market. And would you say that, like, with the gins, kind of going back with that, like, that's really the next kind of big one, like, where whiskey has become huge, gin is kind of working its way up there?
I think both gin and tequila are major up-and-comers. I think they've been around a long time, but they are trending very much, and I think that those will continue to trend. I do think that with the whiskeys and the bourbons, there's going to be a lasting appeal. I do think that using heritage grains and things that bring in different flavor profiles are increasingly appealing.
Okay, so, you know, talking about, like, the tequila and gin as possible, like, you know, those are kind of coming up as whiskeys. And would you say that with some of the newer laws that have kind of come into effect now, like with in the state of Florida last year, July 1st, you know, now your distilleries are able to sell cocktails and things like that. And I think not too long ago, they also increased the volume that distillers as well could produce and still be called a craft distillery. Have those kind of like helped you guys or definitely broadened the market for you?
The ability to ship cocktails has been effective. That is significant for all distilleries, and certainly was one of the primary motivators for us moving to this new location. Our previous location, we had a tasting bar. This location, we have a fully operational bar. We have a decent sized main room. We're getting ready to do a patio outside that has additional seating for 50. So once that's all done, we'll be able to see around with other people. That would have never been something prior to the change of the laws, but it certainly works and it's allowed us to grow that side of the business. As far as capacity, I don't know if that makes much of a difference for us. It was increased from 70,000 gallons to 50,000 gallons, and both of those are numbers that are way out there as far as our production goes. I know that impacts some distilleries. I think there is a component to that law that's going to have an enormous impact, though, and that's the requirement that we use 60% agricultural products in Florida. That will really influence what's done by distilleries. There are things that aren't available here in the state, so agave is a great example. So if I have a product that is made with a Mexican agave, I have to balance them out with other products that are made with Florida-based product in order to keep that 60% ratio. And it, to some extent, it will dictate what distillers are able to produce. And that, I think, would be interesting to see how it unfolds. They gave us 5 years to fully implement that. But it will have a bearing on how we approach that.
So yeah, that we would say would probably be a future challenge, or a challenge that you guys are kind of facing in that market.
It's one that we're all working to address right now, because that's not one you can flip a switch very easily. You have to build relationships with the suppliers. You have to get all of that working. When I picked the heritage strains that I'm using, I picked those that were indigenous to the Southeast. I've been able to source a rye that is indigenous to Florida. The wheat is another example. Wheat doesn't grow, and that's something that has to be imported. Malt has to be imported. Though we do have one distillery here in the state that's really formal. So I expect you provide material for the rest of us to some extent. So I think you're going to see some of that as well.
And I know that the University of Florida is kind of helping, working with you guys to kind of help develop these brands to be more, that can be grown here in the state of Florida. And the malting, I think that's a great idea, because that's something that hasn't been done here in the Southeast in a long time. Well, actually, probably in the West. So, and kind of going back to the tequila side of things, I know you and maybe one other distillery in the state, which is really just interesting. I just find it really interesting. It's just kind of bringing that Blue Agave experience, which is
It's, I mean, for us, it's my wife's spirit, so she worked there, and I practically make work. But it is a challenge. The agave is hard to do. It's hard to ferment. It takes forever. It's just a really tough one. And I think that there's been a lot of people try it, and they run into some of the problems with fermentation, and it's like, this is what absolutely work. But to a certain degree, like everything in the world, you have to find the right way to do it here. I would say the same thing applies to maturation experience. People here will try to age like you do in Kentucky, and that doesn't work. It's too hot, it's too humid, and if you don't adjust the way you do things, you're going to do a terrible problem. And we think that we do in this state out of breweries, because people don't find things appealing in some other states, but we don't use them the right way.
Right. I mean, I think that some distilleries are starting to do it the way that it's supposed to be here in Florida, because doing this, I've kind of discovered like your spirits, whiskeys, and some of the others. They're coming out, they are starting to do a lot better products. And, so, I mean, it's like I like to say, when people say that with the aging process here in Florida, our angels are very thirsty.
Yes,
They are. And like, where were you kind of thinking that here at like the new Smyrna Beach area, for you guys, because I know some of the laws require you can't have your brick house too long. Are you kind of thinking about aging those products in 2 or 3 years, which is kind of what it is here in the state of Florida, 2 or 3, or are you guys still kind of working that up?
So aging, I'm actually trying to get to the point where everything's following along.
Okay, 4 years.
So, which means that, again, we're adjusting the process. I had a 5-year-old that we recently released for a home whiskey club. That was interesting. I purchased 2 barrels that were 6 months old from the open distillery. And I purchased those to test some theories on it. And just cracked those open the first one here a couple of months ago, about a month ago. And so it's a 5-year-old, it's really, really good. And it's gas spread, unfiltered. But again, the motivation was to test theories on aging, and based on that barrel, I'm liking what we can. So I think we're still going to age 4+ years. We're just doing it differently.
Yeah.
If we limit the amount of age that we go on the tank, I think we're still going to be a product that's not going to appeal to at least a portion of our customers. And that's, I want to water.
Yeah. And more quality product. I mean, and I always find it an interesting process, that whole maturation. It's a science in itself.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm just trying to know what all our barrels are going to be. How, like I was at a whiskey tasting and they had a light whiskey, but it was aged in an uncharred barrel for 13 years. And it really, I mean, and this part of it was actually had a nice sweetness to it. So it's just kind of interesting about how that works.
And I see that in the higher proof product.
Yeah, I believe it was around like probably close to 100 or 102 or something like that. So and it was good. It was very kind of like mellow, very smooth, but it was kind of had a lot of points. Man, so it was like when it comes to the barrels, are you guys looking at like what you char, like one char, like 2 chars?
So we play around a lot with the barrel, and I do a combination of toast and char, and I also do the only for so I keep going back and forth on the char and the break. I do the toast, and I entry proof the supplement that we have. So
Kind of pre-prohibition.
yes, very much pre-prohibition. And I mean, the obvious benefits of doing that are you yield a product that has better quality, better flavor. The downside is that you don't use it as much, so it's a more expensive product. So I suppose that's the trade-off with it, but it's a trade-off with more.
I mean, yeah, I'm excited to see what you guys have in the future. And then kind of going off some of like what is your guys' tour include at the new facilities? Like, I'm assuming the distillery. So like some of the things that you kind of like trying to do, like a little bit with the Florida Craft Spirit Trails, you have those tours.
So we have tours 3,000 11 1 3, and if people come in off of that schedule, they're welcome to the flight and try some products, but because we are in production consulting, that schedule is important because I have it so it's safe to go back there. And oftentimes people producing it may not be safe. And as such, we just don't want and some products will go off us. And we have recently shifted from free tasting to flights. I think that works better too. And that's the model we use.
Sounds good. And do you want to taste the products?
After the let you try them,
Yeah.
what do you like?
I mean, I'm a whiskey guy, but definitely wouldn't mind trying a couple things.
So let's see. So we've got 2 bourbons and a rum. And I'm going to guess you've only had one of these 3.
I think, yeah, that you guys have, I think it was the American whiskey.
So,
Want to start with the offers?
we can ask. This is a 3-year-old old rum. This is a Demerara style. So, if you look at rum, it's in different styles of making rum. Style number 1 is going to be rum agave. That's going to be a fresh lemon juice that is fermented and then distilled. That is going to have a grassy note to it. And very vivacious in its nose and in its flavor, and typically associated with the Caribbean and the French Caribbean in that. Then you're going to have the molasses base, which is most typical. That's British rum, Jamaican rums. Any of the original British colonies have that's the style that they use.
Real American.
Yes. And that's going to be made from light molasses, and it's going to yield a room that has a little bit of a cup to it, that has a really full body, and it's just I think what most people think of when they think of rum. Demerara, this is going to be something different.
Yeah, I've never heard of Demerara.
So this is going to be what you find in banana, what you find in Venezuela. This is a more expensive way to make rum. It's made entirely from cane. So you take a first cut or a first crystallization of cane sugar. This would be pre-processed sugar. So you have a sugar mill, they're going to do the initial separation and crystallization. They'll create a raw sugar, not used with sugar and raw, which is a processed product. And then you've got molasses as two products. And then those two products are sold into or Long Crystal or whatever, and they'll create finished product. That product is also known as forceps, because they literally make the stuff, pile it on the ground, scoop it up, and then we'll ship it out. So it's not intended for human consumption, it's an industrial sugar. But it yields a light rum. It's got great notes. It has this particular one has a hint of a ripe banana.
That's what I was going to say. It smells banana.
And that's from the fermentation process. Again, this is 3 years old. But for somebody that likes whiskey, this is a great way.
You definitely get the nice char, and you get the. I mean, I get the banana a little bit, but you get like the caramel, the vanilla, you know, the slightly.
Yes. And this one, really nice product. And we're just beginning to roll this out to the market now. I didn't have enough supply to do anything beyond the tasting room, but I have provided this one to my distributor, so it's one that's beginning to roll out. We're really happy with it, and on that, people are always asking, what's my favorite? And my standard answer is it's like asking me to pick my favorite child. And most parents know that, some days it's one, some days it's the other, some days you don't like either one. And, but for me, the ones I probably go to the most are going to be that old rum and one of these two bourbons. They just rich. Now, you've had this one, so, but we'll go there again.
It's always good to be sure.
This is a standard 20%. This is a 3-year-old, which I think is 3.5-year-old. That'll be 3.5-year-old. And it's 80 proof, just really easy to drink it, nice. Perfect. And I should note that this is labeled as a whiskey, but it is a bourbon. And people ask me why. The answer to it is something. It was too young to call it a straight bourbon when I bought 5,000 liters. And I labeled it as whiskey. And when I run out of 5,000 liters, it'll magically become a bourbon. It's all good. I wish I could tell you a better answer to it than that.
Oh, hey, it's a funny story. But yeah, I mean, that is very nice. I mean, you definitely get the nice like pepper notes in there for the rye. And you get that, of course, the honey.
Yeah. Now, this is the same mash bill with 5 years. This is the one that I mentioned earlier that was part of the experiment on aging. This is cask strength. This is 123.7. Interesting thing is the entry proof is 24.
Also, actually,
Yes. Now, Angel Share, we lost 2 gallons on the barrel. But proof remained almost the same. And this is where we get into some of the interesting things about how I age here in Florida. I age in a conditioned environment. And so it has been in a conditioned environment the entire life of the product here.
The condition is like control environment is air conditioning press.
And I allow the system a bracket temperature range, but it never gets outside that temperature range. And I believe that yields a very particular product. But what you try to see what you got.
Definitely heavier, almost like marshmallow. Like, get a really nice orange dust.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like the funny thing I noticed with a lot of like Florida whiskey. You get a nice orange dust. And I mean, I think that just kind of makes it be a Florida whiskey. That nice orange. I mean, granted, there's other ones you get, but you definitely get more Florida.
This has been really, really nice. It's great brown flavor. It's the heat's there.
Yeah.
So there's no denying the heat's there. But it's not unpleasant. It gives you nice bones, they like saying that. And yes. And I think that this is indicative of lower head down the road. And I hopefully it continues to work that way on other barrels. But so far, so good.
And then you would say these are the 2 whiskeys that use that Cherokee corn that you were talking about.
Actually, no. These are both yellow.
Oh, this is good.
So for 20% rye, I use a yellow corn one and continue to use yellow corn. The Cherokee is not so good. I can hold back there. Haven't tried it. And look, I can go back and see how accessible it is. And maybe you can stick a grill in it and make it properly.
I would bring mine. And then just real quick, so where can people find some of the SugarWorks products at like retail locations? Like I know you guys are in ABC. Are there other places?
So
retailers?
Major chains, ABC throughout the state. If your location doesn't have a store manager, especially ABCs, and it's in their central distribution warehouse, and they can. And then independent liquor stores, we're in 70 or so restaurants, and we'll continue to increase the footprint, and you can also get us on
Cask Cartel, so that's like an online business. Yeah, and then where people, if they wanted to find updates or news, they go to like certain social media or
Absolutely. Facebook and Instagram is SugarWorks Distillery for both. We do have a website. Probably not as good at keeping that up to date as we are on social media, but social media definitely and post about new products, what are the musicians we have playing at the bar, so on and so forth.
So if you guys are ever in New Smyrna, look them up. Because it's a fun place, and they're always having something happen. So and let's go check out those the distillery.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Thomas, for showing us around and telling us the story of SugarWorks Distillery and letting us try some of your guys' delicious whiskeys and rum. And they do offer many more products, such as moonshine, even a Blue Agave spirit. And if you guys are in the area of New Smyrna Beach, I highly recommend you guys go check them out. They are a great crew and very passionate about what they're doing and make some very good quality products. So definitely go check them out and tell them I sent you. And as always, please smash that like button. Give me a subscribe. All the support is appreciated. And I like to take this time to thank my sponsors, Higher Order Smokers and Loaded Cannon Distillery. And I'll be putting all their information in the bottom at the description. And as always, guys, if you're going to have a drink, have it with me. And ushkabehe and cheers.